everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the 1987 holiday film road movie that I think is absolutely stupendous. I adore this movie. There are so many moments in it that are hilarious and a couple moments that mean the world to me. And it's a movie that always hit me right in the heart, and I just think it's hysterical and just, for me, works in pretty much every way. I mean, John Hughes did such a fantastic job in putting this movie together. For those of you who don't know what this movie is about, it stars Steve Martin and John Candy, and they're a couple of guys who, at least you think, are trying to travel home for the holidays, and they unfortunately have to find another route as their plane gets downed, and they will not be able to get across the country as they originally thought, and they decide to team up because they don't have anybody else to turn to and get across the country. But Steve Martin does not exactly enjoy John Candy's character, even though John Candy's character is so lovable, and he absolutely tries his best. And so you just go from there and you watch their adventures. And like I said, John Candy, I mean, he's absolutely lovable in this movie. He is bar none one of my favorite film actors of all time. I mean, if you talk about people who actually mean a lot to me and that are actors, I would say he's probably number one. I mean, there are other people who I think have been in better films, but I've always loved John Candy and been able to identify with a lot of his characters, and I think he is so great in this movie as this guy who, he lives his life on the road, and he tries to be so earnest. At the same time, he can be very annoying, and you can completely understand why somebody might lose their patience with him, but he is such a lovable and loving guy in this movie. I think he just absolutely kills it. And then you have Steve Martin, who comes off as much more of a jerk throughout the film, but at the same time, you can absolutely empathize with him and understand his frustration. First off, just being put in a situation where he has to travel across the country in any way he can see fit, and also just the annoyance that he does feel for John Candy's character in certain sequences, because he can be a bit of a buffoon, and just the way that they play off of one another, I mean, I thought it was absolutely hysterical. And this movie, to me, I mean, everything across the board is absolutely fantastic. I think the story is hysterical, like I said before. It's just a heck of a lot of fun, but also there are so many moments from this movie that have just always hit me and just stuck with me. I mean, with Steve Martin, I mean, that sequence where he's swearing at the car rental woman that you find out, if you don't know by now, the guy says the F word like 18 times in a very short period of time. And it's funny because this movie was actually rated R in America, and I believe in Canada, and the only reason why that's the case is because of this diatribe he goes on, this rant against this woman, and it's completely understandable frustration, and to see him just completely unleash on her. And at the same time, you completely understand that she is not at fault and she doesn't deserve to be treated this way, but at the same time you can be completely understand his unbridled rage and actually enjoy seeing him unleash it. And then, I mean, the whole sequences of them driving down the road, and the moment where they get pulled over because their car has been blown out and it's completely been on fire, and there's no top to it, and they have to be in like their harshest winter gear because the wind is hitting them. I mean, that whole stuff was hysterical. And this movie, if you ask me, has a great opening that really gets you ready for the situation where, they're going to be having so many troubles traveling, where you have Steve Martin, because he is absolutely the main character in this movie, the character you get introduced to first, and he's trying to catch a taxi, and another character played by Kevin Bacon, of all people, is trying to get to that taxi too, and as they race to try to get there, I mean, I thought that was all very entertaining. Just seeing Steve Martin run, I mean, I don't know, it's funny because he's got a way of running that is really funny to look at, but at the same time feels like you can actually see him running that way. Like, it's not super over top, it's not like the Ministry of Silly Walks or anything like that, but at the same time it looks ridiculous. So I thought that absolutely worked. And of course the sequence where the two of them, John Candy and Steve Martin, are sharing a hotel room, and they wake up in the morning and they're cuddling, and you have the whole reveal about John Candy saying that he's got his hand between two pillows, and it's not exactly two pillows. I mean, that whole thing was hysterical. But for me, absolutely, bar none, the moment in this movie that has always got to me is there's this sequence of where John Candy goes off on this basically this speech about the way people see him after Steve Martin has said something harsh to him, and they're in a hotel room, and he goes off and he's like, you know, you may not like me, but other people like me, and it's just such an emotional sequence, and John Candy does such a great job in it. I mean, he absolutely acts his heart out. For me, it's the standout actual acting moment in his entire career, and I remember seeing it even as a kid and like welling up because it's so emotional, and you completely understand it, and it's just such a wonderful scene. I mean, even when I think about it now, I mean, it's just so pitch perfect. I love this movie. I mean, it just does it for me. I mean, on every level, I think it's fantastic. If I was gonna give it a score out of 10, it would probably be a 9. I mean, I think it's pretty pitch perfect. There's very little about it that I would ever change. So those are my thoughts on Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. If you love that John Candy speech as much as I did, what you think is the funniest moment, whatever. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people will discover this video and come and check it out, which would be awesome because I love talking to people about movies. And speaking of which, if you are new here or you just haven't done it yet, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you can find out when I put out a new video and you come check it out, give me that feedback. If you have that back and forth, it would be fantastic. Aside from all that though, have yourself a good day.